Right now on 10 News at 11.
A seemingly routine encounter leads to gunfire and a man shot dead by a San Diego police officer.
The cop jumped off him and just took his gun and popped him and then jumped back on him again.
We talk with a witness who says he saw the whole thing.
Plus, San Diego State is making changes to keep students safe after another student died following a night of drinking at a fraternity party.
Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
And we do begin with that officer involved shooting a man shot dead after police say he grabbed the officer's gun. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And I'm Kimberly Hunt. We brought you the breaking news minutes after it happened on 10 News at 4 o'clock. Anthony Pura has been gathering new information all evening. He is joining us live from Oak Park. Anthony found a man who saw how this whole confrontation started.
And that witness was very shaken up when we spoke with him. He was just a few feet away from the shooting when it happened. Now, police have just cleared the scene here a short while ago here at 54th Street and College Grove Drive. They've been here for hours as this officer-involved shooting, as with all of them, are expected to go through a lengthy review and investigation process. Police swarmed this Oak Park neighborhood after an officer shot and killed a suspect.
Cop jumped off him and just took his gun and popped him and then jumped back on him again.
Carlitos Figueroa was about 20 feet away from the shooting. He says it started when two officers came up to a man on the street. Police say it was an enforcement call and the man took off.
At one point, he ran between the officers and into the northbound lanes of 54th Street. The officers began chasing the male.
And he ran between a couple parked cars and fell on the face first onto the street.
That's when Figueroa says the officers jumped on top of the suspect.
I seen his arm come out like this, and I don't know if he had a knife or what. There was one officer holding the legs down, the other officer had him in a chokehold, and then his arm came out like that, but he was face down. But the officer shook his head no, and then went ahead and shot him.
Police say that officer was defending his partner. They say the suspect was reaching and pulling at the other officer's gun.
Not only was the suspect grabbing at the officer's gun, but in fact he ripped the gun and the holster completely from the officer's belt.
It happened so fast that he took off and zip-zapping, and they jumped on him, and then he struggled, and that's it, boom.
At this point, police have not identified the suspect. We're reporting live tonight. Anthony Pura, 10 News.
Thank you, Anthony. And 10 News viewers got the breaking news on their phones sent straight to the smartphones, and you can download the 10 News app for free in the App Store.
The tragic death of a student last fall is prompting San Diego State to make some major changes. Freshman Dylan Hernandez died after falling off his bunk bed. He reportedly had been drinking at a fraternity party that night. Our 10 News anchor Lindsay Pena shows us what will be different on campus this semester.
It's been several months since SDSU's president charged a special task force with coming up with ideas on how to keep students on campus safer. That task force is now back, and they have three main recommendations.
The first is the Good Samaritan policy. It basically removes conduct penalties for certain alcohol and drug violations if the students get help for anyone who needs it in a timely manner, either by calling 911 or SDSU staff. Former fraternity member Connor Cornelius says that's a big one.
I think that it will stop people from being afraid for calling help, because people are, and they are afraid. You see something happening to someone, and all I think about is the consequences.
With a new semester underway, fraternities and sororities will be recruiting. The new rules say all chapter-hosted recruitment and new member education events for organizations must occur between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. They also can't hold recruitment events at satellite houses, and an advisor must be present during any recruitment or new member meetings and events. And beginning this semester, all social fraternities and sororities will be required to make an acknowledgement of the policies on hazing.
I think it'll make people kind of more aware of situations.
All of these new policies and procedures will be implemented immediately. Reporting on the campus of SDSU, Lindsay Pena, 10 News.
The man who was acquitted in the notorious murder of a 12-year-old Escondido girl is back in trouble. Richard Tuite is charged with unlawfully visiting a prison. He needs special permission to do that since he's a convicted felon. Today, Tuite started rambling when he entered the courtroom.
I came down to the sheriff's station, and I thought there was sheriffs over I wanted to give her ask for help, and they put me in handcuffs and brought me in here.
Well, Tuite's mental illness was a big factor in his previous trials. He was convicted in 2004 of slipping into 12-year-old Stephanie Crow's bedroom and stabbing her to death. But in 2012, an appeals court voided Tuite's conviction, ordering a new trial where he was later acquitted. Tuite will be back in court for this new case next month.
10 Fallbrook High School students are in trouble, arrested after a massive fight on campus today. 10 News got this cell phone video. The sheriff's deputies say that as many as 20 students were involved in this brawl. It happened just after a pep rally this morning. The arrested students were taken to juvenile hall, where they now face charges including battery. Deputies say no weapons were involved, but there were some minor injuries. A student and parent told us that fight started because of a gang reference.
A USD student studying abroad in New Zealand is facing a long recovery after a terrible skydiving accident. 10 News reporter Mickelson shows how her survival is just the first way that she managed to defy the odds.
The nerves that Kate Morris felt weren't shared 2 weeks ago by her friend Beatrice Martinez-Martin. The two USD students were a week into a 3-week study abroad program before deciding to do something not sanctioned by the school: skydiving.
The scenery is just gorgeous, and I figured if I was going to do something crazy, I might as well just do it now.
Martinez went first with an instructor. Morris was next with her own tandem.
So cool! Oh my god!
Morris was the first to land, gently gliding to the ground.
That was insane.
But the smiles would soon go away
Her guide screamed when they hit the ground.
as Martinez came in for her landing.
But at the very end, there was just like a gust of wind that made the parachute go up, and then we just landed down super hard. And I was just kind of like at that point, like gasping for like help because it knocked the wind out of me.
Unlike Morris, Martinez slammed into the ground on her backside. Martinez and her tandem rushed to a hospital, each with a fracture in the spine. Martinez shattered her L3 segment. Pieces of bone touched her spinal cord. Her doctors in disbelief.
Very much in shock that I wasn't paralyzed, and I mean, it was just, something was on my side.
After a long surgery, Martinez still faces weeks of recovery in New Zealand before she can head home, where many months of physical therapy await. But she is expected to make a full recovery, and the grateful Martinez already making plans for another skydive.
Maybe not in the next couple of years, but I will do it down the line again.
Michael Chen, 10 News.
New Zealand's healthcare system is covering her medical costs, but Martinez will face expenses when she returns to the U.S. We have a link to her GoFundMe page on 10news.com.
Tomorrow, the president's lawyers will begin making their case in the impeachment trial of Donald Trump. House Democrats wrapped up their case today. They focused on accusations that the president obstructed Congress's investigation. They also continued their push for new witnesses like former National Security Advisor John Bolton.
These witnesses have important firsthand testimony to offer.
A new ABC News Washington Post poll finds 2/3 of Americans say witnesses should be called in the impeachment trial. That decision will likely not be made until after the president's team wraps up its opening defense.
An up and down day for Tiger Woods in the second round of the Farmers Insurance Open. He is still in the hunt, but he's 6 shots back.
Our 10 News sports anchor Steve Smith joins us. A rough day for a lot of local San Diegans. Phil Mickelson, you're saying this may be his last round.
Who
with the
knows?
Farmers.
He just hasn't played well
Yeah.
at Torrey over the last number of years. Phil Mickelson, a 3-time winner of the Farmers Insurance Open, but it's been a while. 2001. Yeah, his last victory at Torrey Pines. It'll not happen this year either. For the 8th time in his career, he misses the cut at the Farmers and will not be around for the weekend after shooting 1 over par for his 2 rounds. Now, taken into consideration, he skipped the tournament last year. He's not played well at Torrey since a 2nd-place finish in 2011 and has never really cared for the redesign. Might this have been Phil's last appearance at the Farmers? Who knows? All right, wasn't a good 2 days for Xander Schauffele as well, the former Aztec and Scripps Ranch crowd missing the cut at even par. As we said, up and down day for Tiger. Here was the down, an awful start to his 2nd round as he had a 4-putt double bogey on his first hole. Good news is, though, he would get things turned around after that. Coming up in sports, how Tiger found his game in a 3-hole span and the one player who almost broke the course record. Steve Smith, 10 News.